All right, good evening, everyone, and welcome back to Green White Checker TV. As I had a couple weeks off here for the Dark Horse Area 51 Dark Horse series. There we go, get it right. And we are here in Japan at Twin Ring Motegi, which has a new name and it's hard for me to remember, but we got 100 laps here tonight, and we will be at the Oval this evening. And yeah, so say we're back at it. 12 races to go here again. Reset it after our amazing championship battle just a few weeks ago at Indianapolis. And so yeah, so we're gonna be having a lot of fun here tonight. A little bit of a smaller car count. I say jokingly, we're saying some drivers probably didn't make it through customs. More realistically, though, unfortunately, we've got some drivers. Some have real life stuff going, and also there's apparently been some really bad weather out in Brazil with some flooding and stuff. So definitely thinking about, because again, we have a good chunk of drivers that we've been able to enjoy watching race over there. So so I definitely hope that they're doing well, families and everybody are safe. So definitely thinking of them and hope that all gets kind of fixed up soon and we get to see them back on track and hopefully everything's okay. But yeah, Andrew, let's say little break, back at it here, and this is definitely a tricky track here with these cars. I feel like this one does have a tendency to spread out a little bit.
Yeah, this is one of those tracks that definitely kind of separates a little bit of your normal high-speed oval racing from kind of a little more strategic short oval experience. So Motegi is definitely one of those tracks that you have to kind of master in order to be fast. It's very hard to pass here, just very hard to get some sort of draft going, to get any sort of runs going, to really make the moves. But with the smaller field here tonight, like you were mentioning, it may actually give us more of a chance to showcase some of these guys that kind of have run well in the past, but they haven't actually been on the broadcast too much. So I'm looking forward to seeing who might take advantage and get some points now and bank some points early in the season and put themselves in a good spot to compete for the whole championship later on in the season once all the drivers are back.
Yeah, that's a really good point. Is yeah, I mean at this point every race is going to be equal. Again, no playoffs in this series, no green light checkers in this series. So yeah, so it'll be a lot of fun to see kind of what the strategy is going to be for some guys. So let's go. We're going to pull up our schedule for this season here. And as you can see, we have starting off here tonight at Twin Ring Motegi. Next week over to Chicagoland. Atlanta is going to be an interesting one. It'll be the old, I believe, build Atlanta, the legacy version, if you will, with a lot of abrasive track there. Week off for Memorial Weekend. Actually, I think it might be 2 weeks off there, if I'm not mistaken, and good reason, the month of May. Because right after that month of May is open, we'll be doing ours in June at Indianapolis Motor Speedway. And then again, hopefully we'll get some of our drivers back because we'll be going to their home track at Interlagos in Brazil, the one road course of the season, and then over to the Milwaukee Mile, followed by Charlotte, Michigan Gateway, then Texas, Kentucky, and the finale at Auto Club. So I'd say Indy last season was our finale. Auto Club is going to be a very fun finale. I think that 2+ mile track should be a lot of fun. And actually, just noticing right now, I don't see a Pocono. A little surprised on that one. I must have missed it when I was looking through the schedule, but usually that's one we see a lot. So that'll be one that some might be wanting to see on the calendar. But either way, though, say a good mix of tracks and should be a lot of fun.
I think compared to last season, we have quite a few new tracks, including this one we're at tonight. Trying to diversify the schedule a little bit and try and make some sort of fast oval versus short oval versus medium oval, kind of giving the field a chance to acclimate to every sort of track. But yeah, the qualifying's over now, and Matt Wagner has put himself right at the top. So judging off what I said before, we have some guys that want to try and make a stand early on the season, bank some points until later this season when some other guys come back and it may be more difficult. So good on Matt there to take pole position.
Yeah, no, that's definitely job one for him done there in that number 6 car. So we'll pull up that starting grid right now. As you can see, you got Matt Wagner next to him, Eric Peterson, then Charles Teed. A new face to the series here, Casey Pahutsky. So I know you're familiar with him. A new one for me though. Then you got Eric Schaus, Yari Brupacher, Craig Forsyth, Nick DeGroot, Salvador Duran, just able to get him new into the series as well. Excited to see what he's got in store for these guys. You got Richard Sanchez, Dan Marrera, and Michael Carrillo. And then starting shotgun tonight will be Bill Cawley. You can see Bill opted not to put down a qualifying lap as well, saying so he's going to start shotgun here tonight. So again, slightly smaller field here tonight, but I think, like I said, that's just going to open up the door a lot of possibilities for these other drivers. And also, you see on the icons there at the bottom, we got a new sponsor on board here as well, and that is Whiplash SimCam. So all the angles you'll see here tonight is courtesy of them. Really appreciate them hopping on board and kind of working with me, getting some camera angles. And it's going to be for all the series here tonight. So able to get Twin Ring Motegi here set up, and then some onboard cams with the IR18s. We'll have it for the Xfinity cars, the trucks, and of course all the super speedway tracks as well. So really want to thank Andrew working with me, and I say we're going to kind of keep growing that one as we go. Hopefully a really nice partnership to build. So pretty excited. I say a lot of changes here in this short amount of time of this off season.
Yeah, this is one of those tracks where it kind of it'll separate a lot of the cars initially. It's very hard to kind of race side by side here for a long period of time without wearing the tires out. So I think some of these guys in the middle part of the top 10 will immediately go to a fuel saving strategy. So I think we'll see how it shapes out early on. I think I'm going to predict that how we qualify here, I think everybody is going to stay kind of how they are and see how the race shapes out from there.
Yeah, I don't think they're going to want to go too crazy right off the bat. I mean, you can see the very, very wide track, so there's plenty of room to go. And really, I think the place that we're going to be having to watch, though, tonight is 3 and 4. I mean, that's 1 and 2. These cars should be pretty solid to be able to pretty much flat foot this thing all the way through. I think 3 and 4 is going to be an interesting one to see how these cars, how they're able to adjust the brake bias, get that thing low down, get it rotated. That's, I think, where I'm going to be really kind of keen to see what these guys can do. Fuel mileage hearing right around a one-stopper, so expect to see these guys in right around that lap 50 mark, right at the halfway point. So if we see yellow, I think that definitely at that point puts everybody into that fuel window to make it. So yeah, it should be pretty straightforward on strategy. It just, if we get yellow, it's going to be all about when to make that strategy stay out for track position, maybe get some fresh tires. So we'll see if that comes into play here tonight.
Yeah, we're about to go green here. Pace car pulls in, and they have to wait for the green flag. Here we go. Yeah, initially I'm going to watch Dan Morera here at the start because he's had quite a rough go in the last season, and I'm sure he's going to want to actually try and get himself to the front to kind of make a stake this season to show that he can actually race with these guys up front. He hasn't made any moves yet back here in the mid-pack, but it looks like we're pretty clear out front.
Yeah, so far so good. I saw Jari Brupacher was doing his best Eric Schaus impersonation on that restart there. Had a huge restart, tried to jump to the outside immediately, was ready to go, but right now Matt Wagner, he will easily lead lap number 1. Got a nice little cushion ahead of or behind him now. As like you said, that side-by-side battle now. We got Charles Teed, Eric Schaus. Looks like Teed's going to win here out of turn 2. But Schaus going to get a big run here down the back.
I was watching the turn 3 and 4 situation like you were mentioning on lap 1 there. That turn 3 and 4 is going to be the difficult part of this race tonight because this track is shaped more like an egg where you have a lot of banking in 3 and 4, but it's a lot tighter. So it's very hard to try and find your way to make the corner in such a way that you come out onto the front stretch in what's the word I'm looking for is a very like almost like a shuttle trying to make it out there to get a lot of momentum out of turn 4 going down the front straightaway, and these guys are going to be dealing with this all night. It's very flat in turn 1 and 2 where the track is a little more flat and able to use a little bit of the higher part of the banking to come around, but when you get to turn 3 and 4, it's all about trying to find that clean air and everything. So these guys are going to figure this out pretty early here in the first 5 laps or so, and then maybe just settle into some sort of parade.
Yeah, no, exactly right. And it looks like these guys have settled in. Well, I was going to say settled in a little bit. I saw an attempt there looking. Bill Cawley was looking through. Oh, we got contact there. I think that was Salvador Duran. Yeah, he's up into the wall, unfortunately, with that contact entering 3. And let's see if he can hopefully grab a gear. It looks like he'll hopefully be able to limp this back to the pits. That's going to bring our first yellow of the evening out. And this is, again, we talked about strategy-wise. I think this, without even pitting, I think gets everybody in a good fuel mileage to make it to the end. As I was saying, just unfortunately, bad to worse, try to get that car woed down. But I say that thing's still going to hang on to it. He's not going to give up here. But let's go ahead and let's go back here and take a look. as that was entering turn number 3. And again, I think this is just the braking points possibly different. So we see Salvador here up on the very top side. And I say you'll see the contact here and just very different entering speeds there. And I think, honestly, I think the 82 is probably watching more of that car to his inside. We'll go back one more time here. I think he was more focused on that 3 car of Casey Putsky. And then Bill just came in with a big head of steam here. And again, we can't really see kind of who slowed up where, but and actually, unfortunately, netcode looks like it did a little bit of rearing of its ugly head there. So, yes, that brings out our first yellow, and it looks like a mixed bag here as we'll jump back live, as Nick DeGroot's going to lead some drivers on pit road, including Eric Peterson, Richard Sanchez, and Michael Carrillo. However, everybody else here is going to go ahead and stay on out.
That's a perfect representation of what you see in turn 3 there. You got some drivers that are trying to find their line early, so they kind of lift off the throttle a little bit just to make sure they get to the bottom and have a nice exit out. And then you have other guys that try and charge in there to try and make the corner, but make the position at the same time. So when you have those two situations kind of going head to head, it's very hard to judge exactly where the car is going to be right in the middle part of the corner. So. Unfortunately for Bill, there was a little bit of internet issue there for sure, but it looks like Salvador is going to use his fast repair and get right back on track again. But I do want to mention that Dan Marrera, like I was watching, he started P11. He's up to P6 right now, so he's made a lot of hay where the sun shines, as I say, and he's up in the top 6 now. So hopefully, with the restart, he can actually pick up a couple more spots as well.
Yeah, right now our highest mover here. So yeah, and I said I was watching early on. I think he gained 3 right off the get go there too. So, like I said, yeah, this is definitely an opportunity for him. Got a few more here going to jump in this time. I believe we'll come to the 1 to go as there were no cars a lap down. So we'll take a peek here and see if indeed that is the case. And yeah, lights are off of that pace car. So Matt's going to lead this restart here. And again, so we had the double file initial start. Restart though, single file controlled by our race leader. So it's basically up to Matt to basically drop the hammer whenever he's ready. And it's going to be up to everybody else to try to be ready to react. So this is, to me, usually when the leader is the most kind of susceptible to attack, in my opinion. So it'll be interesting to see what kind of a restart here that Eric Schaus can get. Or actually, no, it looks like Charles T can get. And see maybe he can try to jump that number 6 car and get some clean air.
It probably won't be in 1 and 2. You'll probably see something more in turn 3, especially as the cars kind of wind up through the gears and everything like that. The draft really gets big once you get into the higher speeds. So Matt might be good in turn 1 and 2, but we'll have to watch and see exactly what happens when they break for turn 3. They don't have cold tires to worry much about, but we'll see what happens.
Yeah, so it'll be interesting to see how it goes. And of course, now the other one that we always have to watch is the accordion on the restart. Now that they're single file, everybody's going to be lined up against that wall, and everybody's going to be kind of antsy to try to get rolling as quick as they can. So we'll see how this restart goes. Again, Matt has control of that restart, and we are back down and away, and looks like a pretty clean start for the field. And yeah, so you can see a few cars moving around, but the one that actually did not get a good restart, unfortunately, is Dan Marrera. As you can see, he's already about a second back off of Craig. So now we'll jump to our leader, though, Matt Wagner. Can he hold on to this advantage? He's got about 4/10 out of 2. That might be enough to spare him entering 3.
Yeah, it doesn't look like that Charles Teed and Eric Schaus got a good restart there. Matt was able to kind of fool them a little bit on where he was starting, and he holds the lead going past for another lap.
Nick DeGroot trying to get around Dan Marrera there, but I'd say Dan kind of had the draft from those cars in front. This is where that draft train comes in. But they're starting to get, I think now they kind of picked up the back there, but at one point he was a little bit over a second and a half. And that's that kind of, to me, that danger zone. But actually, Jari Brupacher now moving up into that runner, or into that 3rd spot, I should say, getting around Eric Schaus. And let's see, you can see the 2 distinct lines there. Jari running much higher there through 3 and 4. I think just trying to keep that clean air on the front wing.
I think Eric actually got a little bit of dirty air from Charles T going through 1 and 2, and Jari just decided, hey, I'll go a little bit high and see if I can make it work. And he managed to get right around the outside of Eric there for P3.
Big push out of 2 for Schaus, able to keep it off the wall, but you could definitely tell that caught his attention. Right now, like you said, though, things are already starting to spread out once more, just a little bit. And I think that's, again, you talk about just as fast as this track is, as flat as this racetrack is, it does make it a little bit more difficult to stay locked onto these cars in front. So right now, Matt's going to definitely be enjoying that clean air on the front wing. Charles Teed's going to have to just try to figure out what he needs to do to kind of take advantage of the draft in the straights, but then have somewhere he can take it in the turns to get that clean air on the front wing. And you can see here, maybe just about a half a groove further out than Matt there. But to me, the other driver I want to watch, just based on last season at Loudoun, New Hampshire, Eric Peterson, he kind of had a really good combo where he could pass guys better than anybody there. And so far, I don't think he's got what he wants yet. But again, he was one of those few that pitted along with Nick DeGroot, so might be on a slightly different strategy here.
I think one of those things that you're mentioning, it's kind of the reverse of New Hampshire a little bit, where you're trying to find clean air or trying to find a line through both sides of this track to be fastest. But I think the bigger thing you want to worry about is how, like, as you cross start finish, you want to worry about how I'm going to brake for turn 3 on the next lap. You want to try and find some clean air through 1 and 2 here, and then you want to worry where am I going to put my car for the best exit out of turn 4. And it's difficult to do that from time to time because a lot of the cars ahead of you are also thinking the same thing. But as long as you try and play with your roll bars, your weight jacker a little bit, you could experiment with a few things. So the first part of the race definitely is trying to experiment, and then later on you want to try and acclimate yourself to put yourself in the best spot to have the best tools possible to pick up some spots later on in the stint.
Yeah, and some of these guys are really flirting with even the wall come out of turn 2, which I did not expect to see. So it looks like these guys are just pushing this thing to the absolute limit. They're just flirting with that outside wall. Right now focusing on Craig Forsyth, who's up into the 4th position, +3 from where he started. Same goes, just half second ahead for Jari Brupacher, also +3 up into 3rd. And like you mentioned, though, right now our highest climber is this guy right there, Dan Morera, still sitting in 6th and is slowly but surely starting to close that gap on Eric Schaus in front of him. So right now he is the last car of those that did not pit under that first yellow. Again, I think everybody's still safe to make it on that one-stop strategy. But what it does allow for Nick DeGroot and company is they can go just a little bit longer. Maybe try to either go longer or maybe try that undercut where they pit just a tiny bit sooner, put a little less fuel in. Maybe that makes enough difference for them to gain a spot or 2 under the green flag potential pit stop window.
I'm watching Charles Teed here. He's kind of playing Matt Wagner like a fiddle. He's running just half a car length up everywhere, and Matt is just trying to run his own race, which, to credit to him, is probably what I would do as well. But Charles is kind of eyeing him up in a certain sense, and he's managing to find a perfect line that Matt is not running, and you can see he's getting very close right now for the lead.
Yeah, right there, though, man, he got so much aero wash through 3 and 4. But yeah, that when we switch over to T, though, I really like, you said, I really like, look at the, see if he does it again, this entry in 1 and 2. Look how high up he takes it and then just does a really sharp arc down there. And that almost is able to, not quite this time, but he had been able to almost offset the aero wash from him just by the aggressive turn in that he was able to do there entering turn 1. So I think here's where, like you said, he's going to have to try to either go a little higher or a little lower. But man, right there, that car looked like it got a little unsettled there coming out of turn 3 and 4. I think, again, these cars very, very banking sensitive. Oh, caution is out, and I believe Eric Schaus involved. Looks like he's going to grab a gear and get going. So you always love to see the helmets. We got the Luigi helmet there on the number 72 car. But let's go see if we can find what happened to Eric here. Looks like he had been having a pretty good battle there with Craig earlier, but let's go back. We'll take a look. And it already happened, so let's back it up a little further. And, I mean, we can already see from the beginning there that he was drift in turn 3. I don't think he caught the apron. I think this car just very loose, maybe a real aggressive on the weight jacker or the ARBs. And yeah, there it goes. You can see it stepping out here. And that is, oh, look at behind him, Dan Morera actually. Oh, Dan's going to make big contact with the wall. I'm not sure if, okay, that's where the 72 goes around. But I'm going to go back though here because I don't know if you saw that as well here, but watch Dan in the background. this car even worse of a slide and big hit to the outside right front, going to be crumpled there. Nick DeGroot just squeezes by there. And so that's the cause of the yellow. I think Dan did limp it back to pit road here. Eric able to also keep rolling there. He just had a big slide. So now, as I expect to see most of the field, if not the whole field. And this is exactly what I was expecting. Play the opposite game. Nick DeGroot's going to stay out, net the lead here, but will be on the oldest tires of everybody. Bill Colley also going to stay out, as well as Salvador Duran. So strategy starting to unfold here a little bit. We'll do is we'll step away. So I got a new commercial to show off, and that is from our Whiplash Sim Cam. So again, I want to thank Andrew for partnering up with us. So we'll be right back. All right, we are back. Lights are off of the pace car. I've got some work to do on getting my stuff to look right because stuff didn't work perfectly there. But that's all part of the growing pains. So, yeah, so it's going to be interesting here, though. Andrew will say a little bit different strategies for some guys. Like I said, Nick DeGroot has yet to take tires in this race. He took fuel only on his green flag stop. So, basically, third place on back are going to have 20 lap fresher tires than Nick DeGroot. The 82 car, we mentioned him, obviously had that contact early. He's going to jump track position here in that 82. And now Matt Wagner is going to have dirty air for the first time. But, yeah, so it's going to be interesting to see how it all shakes out on this one.
Yeah, you always think that these tracks are an easy one-stopper. And next thing you know, you get some sort of caution that throws everyone into a mix. Everyone pits on lap 1920, something like that. Everyone's going to have to make one more stop from here. So all the leaders have now put themselves back in the field and put themselves in a spot where they have to actually fight back to try and gain some sort of track position here. So it'll be interesting to see if these guys that stayed out actually can win out on the track position game.
Yep, and here goes Nick DeGroot. He's already trying to break the draft as he gets back underway. And a really good start for him. You can see almost 6-7 tenths over Salvador Duran. Another kind of 5 tenths back to Matt Wagner. So right now I'd say definitely an advantage goes to those two. Charles Teed's done a good job staying close to the back of that 6 car. And so, yeah, like I said, we'll see how the momentum shifts right now. But I'm also watching right here, Rick Sanchez and Eric Schau's good little battle here just inside the top 10. But right now, Matt Wagner trying to put those tires to use. He's going all over the 82.
It looks like everyone was trying to really struggle to find the best line in 3 and 4. It's lap 24 now, and people still can't find what the best line is through there. There's a lot of cars that are getting a little loose, a couple of cars that are going high and trying to find the rubber on the outside. It's not happening for them. So as these runs go on, these drivers are still trying to figure it out.
Yeah, this is gonna be interesting now, though. I'm very intrigued to see tire difference versus clean air, because I think that's gonna be right now the main thing for Matt and Nick is, as I say that Eric Peterson just ran the fastest lap of the race there in that number 36 machine. But again, now Nick has clean air. Oh, as I said, Eric Peterson hard off the wall there out of turn 2. And I talk about 3 and 4 being the trouble turn. Turn 2 has definitely caught some drivers off guard, and I think we're going to see, I think Peterson's going to have to hit pit road here. I think that was definitely enough to do some wheel damage. And yeah, here he comes. He's going to hit pit road. Unfortunately, going to be an unscheduled pit stop and fast repair for that 36 car. And it's a new season, but the commentator's curse does not go away.
Yeah, the problem with 1 and 2 is that it's such a fast, long corner. It's flat with a little bit of banking, so you want to try and use a little bit of that banking to make sure you get past the car you want to get by. And sometimes you push it just a little bit too much, and you find yourself flirting with that outside wall. If you're not flirting with that outside wall, you're not getting the most out of that corner from my experience. So it's very interesting to see as we see Craig Forsyth trying to take a high, cut low line. He's going to be pushed up high, and he gets very close to that outside wall, as we saw.
Yeah, big move there by Craig. And so right now you can see the difference of dirty air with older tires. Say right now the 82 does not have much he can do about it. You can see Yari, he's going to jump to the outside. He's going to steal that draft. Now he'll slot in front of Salvador Duran, move Yari up into that top 5. Lap time-wise, Nick was about a 1/10 of a second quicker than Matt that last time around. So right now things have, again, not super spread out, but about that half a second or so window. Right now this is the closest battle on track here is with that 5 and the 72. Also, Bill Colley down Marrero, that say they actually just battling for a position as we speak. Bill got the entry, but Dan's going to have a better exit, it looks like, and the draft out of 4. Hold that one to him. And now we got a 3-way battle here going for that 6th position, the 5, the 72, and the 82 as they come through 1 and 2.
Eric Peterson just exited the pits after that damage repair there, right ahead of Nick DeGroot. So he's going to try and not go another lap down because he'll probably be the lucky dog, should we have a caution. And yeah, it looks like people are starting to kind of spread out now. Looks like people are managing to find their way through turns 3 and 4. Eric Schaus and Rick Sanchez have really had a great battle as Eric tries to dive right underneath. Is that Duran there that he's still fighting with?
Yeah, so this has been a hard fought one right now. Say Eric Scott there. I think this will be where he has the best opportunity. Oh my goodness, that was close there, an entry. Now he's going to have to jump to the outside here, see if he can make something happen. But right now, say Salvador is pretty much out of the draft of Craig, so this is going to just make it that much, not easy, but a little bit less of a challenge. And this time, yeah, Eric's going to be able to hug the bottom here. You see right behind him, Richard tried to follow through there. Now they got to make sure they don't get too tight on exit. But man, you're right, though. They're not giving up an inch right now. And look at Salvador. He's going to send it off into turn number 3. Can he make it stick? We'll see who gets the better exit out.
Yeah, this is one of those tracks where Salvador is new to the series, so he's doing his best to try and manage what he can on these old tires. It worked for Nick DeGroot for sure, but he has a lot of experience in this car. So Salvador definitely took a little bit of a lesson here, and hopefully he takes that and uses it to see how he could do things a little differently in the future in order to try and maintain position. You know, the more cars that stay out, it's very, very hard to keep your old tires in the dirty air and everything. So kudos to Salvador for giving it a shot. But yeah, once you fall back in the pack, it's very hard to either maintain or gain a spot back. So once you fall back one spot, you're going to fall back probably 3, 4, 5 more.
Yeah, no, you're exactly right. And stay right behind him, talk about some new names, new faces. That's that number 3 car, Casey Putsky there, working on in that 9th spot, working and trying to get back up into 8th. As they had a good qualifying run, started in, looks like in the 4th position. I had to do math there, apologies. But kind of dropped back early. And again, I think that's one of those things too, where just kind of new to the series, getting your feet wet. I know when I was able to run these cars a lot, I would usually start in the back because when I qualified, I'd still wind up in the back after the first 3 laps, just because I just did not have the aggression that some of these guys have been able to do. So. But I'm going to jump back up a little bit because we got, once again, this battle, Eric Schaus and Richard Sanchez. These guys have been going at it since before the yellow. And you see right there, Eric getting as wide as he could on the entry. But these two have been very, very close on pace. And then, go ahead, I'm sorry.
No, I'm watching the Charles T. Matt Wagner battle because this has not stopped since the last caution. Charles T. is managing to find that sniff of clean air that will get him very close to Matt Wagner. Wagner is trying to shut the door a little bit here and there, but I think Charles is getting the upper hand and trying to outsmart him a little bit. So this battle is not over. They've been very close this entire race, and I think that this actually may be a nice podium battle here should things play out.
No, you're exactly right. And yeah, when I was literally about to say the same thing watching the two of them. I was watching the intervals and I saw how close Charles is keeping. I'd say there's a couple battles, like I said, we just can't look away from, and that's been these two right here as well. And yeah, these guys are having a great battle right now.
So one thing I also want to point out with the Sanchez Schaus battle is that it seems that both are taking turns, taking very like deep entries into turn 3, and each person's reading the other one a little bit better, trying to say, okay, well, you missed the corner, I'm going to come underneath you, and now you missed the corner, I'm going to come underneath you. So this is such a great battle, a side-by-side battle that's definitely losing them time to the cars ahead, but it's giving them an opportunity to kind of have some fun and see. Both of them are probably in their helmets right now saying, how do I get a better advantage to try and pull away and feed some dirty air? So it's hurting them a little bit, but it might help them later in the race if another caution comes out, that they can work together.
I was saying, and is this a track that you can consider doing the swap draft, or this doesn't play out at this track?
It's very tough to do a swap draft here when you're under full throttle for like about 90% of the lap. It's just very hard to try and get any sort of advantage where you could draft, because you have such dirty air through 1 and 2 with the flat-footed nature of the track, and then when you get to 3 and 4, it's just a matter of finding some clean air. So you can't really get an advantage doing a swap draft here, unfortunately.
Yeah, I know. And while we're watching, obviously we switched over. We saw Charles Teed get around Matt Wagner, and he's starting to set sail a little bit. He's already up to half a second on Matt. He's closing the gap on Nick DeGroot. So, like you said, I think Charles, we talked about at Loudon, his teammate, the 36 Eric Peterson. Looks like Charles has definitely found something pretty solid here for himself. So it's gonna be fun to see now what Charles can do. So I'm gonna go back to this battle because again they cannot get away from each other, Andrew. And while they've been doing that, actually, it's been bringing Casey, and then you talk about them slowing each other down. And yeah, it's brought Casey right into this mix here. As actually I said, caution out. Oh, Salvador Duran involved. And actually, maybe just a spin here. The car doesn't look too bad of shape. Almost maybe another spin like we saw earlier with Eric Schaus. So let's go take a look here. Oh, I don't know if you saw what I saw, but I saw just a little touch of that white line.
Just a tiny bit. That's all it takes sometimes.
Yeah, and there it goes. But I think we'll watch it all the way through here, but I think he's going to get away with it. Does a little loop. Oh, man, look how the right wheel locked into that thing. And just maybe a little kiss. Oh, that's fine. That car's going to be fine.
Barely a kiss, yes.
Yeah, so that's a good break for him. And even bigger break for this man right here, Eric Peterson. That is going to get him, I believe, he was at the tail end of 2 down. That'll jump him a lap and now just be 1 down, and the only car 1 down as well. So if he gets another caution, that'll bring him back into it. And now I'm looking at the timing of this yellow here. We talked about probably everybody could go safely 50 on fuel. Can anybody go 55? I don't know if it'll be that far. And yeah, I don't think we see anybody stay out. Well, I'm proven wrong. Yari's going to stay out here. But I really felt like as long as that run was, I didn't think I'd see anybody stay out there. So this is another wrench here thrown, a little strategy by Yari this time in the 49. But I think everybody else here, we see 4 tires and fuel.
Yes, 100% agree with you there, Gael. Yari, of course, there's always going to be one contrarian out there. Salvador just ran into the back of someone in pit road there. I believe it might have been Morera. But yeah.
Oh yeah, Frowing's gone.
It looks like. I mean, one of those things that everyone's pitting. I'm gonna do something a little bit different. It's not worked for me. Obviously, Nick's been out there out front, getting the track position, going fast. I'm gonna go out there and do something a little bit different myself. So cheers to Yari there for just going a little bit different. He's mired in the middle part of the top 10. He probably knows he can't pass a bunch of people. So. Yeah, the best strategy here is to try and pit. I still think that 55 laps is not going to happen just with the full throttle nature of this track. You could throw it into another fuel map if you want to try and save a little bit of fuel here and there, but next thing you know, you're going to have people going very slow, and someone that stays out and wants to try and risk it might actually try and pull this off.
And saying this is now also where I wonder for Yari, for instance. Again, he can go to about, we'll say, lap 70 if the if that 50 lap number is right, all these other guys can go pretty much almost all the way to the end. What about the idea of maybe splitting this race up, either this run, I should say, up in half for Yari, or even maybe running it backwards where you pit as soon as you're in your window?
The problem with that is that you might risk going a lap down. So I think if I were Yari right now trying to stay out, I would want to run the fuel tank dry, hope for another yellow where everybody knows they have to pit one more time to try and just top off and go from there. Because we've now gotten close to halfway, I might risk doing a no tire stop as well. Just fill it with fuel and then run the last 15, 20 laps or so as it is, because it's apparent based on the lack of passing here that it's a track position race. So Yari's done well to put himself in a spot where he can lead the race, not have a lot of threats from behind. And from there, he might just want to do a fuel-only stop and hope that everyone is saving too much fuel that he can actually springboard ahead of them as it gets later on in there.
Yeah, no, it's going to be fun to see. And I do think as well that this is, again, it's a similar window where Nick had yet to take tires. He had about a 20-lap advantage, 20-lap disadvantage, I should say, on tires than Matt Wagner, Charles Teed and company. So now Yari's basically got the same thing, but now to Nick and Charles and Craig. And actually over the pit stop cycle, too, Matt's now fallen back into that 5th position. But I think this will be the telltale right here is we'll watch pit entry. I'm curious to see, do we see anybody make that left to try to top off? And based on nobody topping off, I don't think that window's going to be very realistic. So I think we're going to see pretty much everybody have to make one more pit stop. But right now, it seems like after about 20, maybe 25 laps or so, it seems like the rear tires are getting really angry for these drivers through 3 and 4. So may not see the last of the yellows yet.
I don't know if it's a matter of trying to top up. No one wants to give up any track position that they have currently. I think you're only going to see people 10th on back try and top off to do anything here, because if you're sitting somewhere in the, let's say P4, like the Craig Forsyth, Matt Wagner area, you're not going to give up any track position because you're going to see someone like a Schaus and a Sanchez battling ahead of you, realizing you can't go anywhere.
Yeah, and look who's right next to each other one more time here on this restart.
Yes, exactly. And then you realize you're not going to be able to pick up any spots at all. So I think it's all about track position. It's not any fuel. It's not any condition of how your car and your tires are doing. It's all about trying to stay up front, which I really actually do praise Yari for trying something different here. And let's see if it works out for him.
Yeah, it's been fun to see. And gotta give a shout out to my favorite fan, most supportive fan, Mrs. Muff. So hope you are doing well. I can't say the other stuff that you're likely saying, but hope you're doing well. Appreciate you watching. And yeah, we're getting back to this here. I'm going to start lap number 46. And we're going to see if we can watch these cars at speed here on this restart. Again, Yari Brewparker stayed out, and we are back to green here. 46, not quite halfway, and you got the snake down the front stretch.
Yep, it's getting to that part of the race now where Yari's saying, I am not losing my track position, if anything. So he has less fuel, a little more worn tires, but he should pull away from this pack easily. Let's watch Charles Teed, especially because he's been on the move this entire first half of the race, and he may want to do something right here.
Yeah, you say you might want to do something, and he is doing that. He is sending into turn 3. He holds the bottom very well there. Great exit out of 4, and he is just going to try to stalk that number 49 car because, like I said, Teed is one of the few that we've seen be able to make some moves here, even in the dirty air.
Oh, Nick DeGroot made a big mistake in turn 1. He turned down way too early and had to lift out of the throttle. Craig Forsyth moves right around the outside, and now he's compromised going down to turn 3.
Yeah, Matt Wagner diving on then there. And so, yeah, not something you expect to see out of a Nick DeGroot. But, yeah, big move there. Look at Yari again, just trying to snake these guys away. But right now, like I said, that gap is closing little by little. Eric Schaus has actually been able to build a little gap. Actually, for once, they have a little bit of separation between Eric Schaus and Richard Sanchez because they've got a Casey Putski in between the two of them. So we'll see if they can actually have each other have a little bit of a breath with one another. But yeah, right now, though, Yari is able to sneak away by about half a second or so. But again, oh man, these guys are flirting with the wall right now.
Yes, Matt Wagner made the same exact mistake Nick DeGroot made in the last lap and went way too high, but I think Nick had to kind of lift a little bit. So Matt and Nick are really going at it right now. Feeds him some dirty air. Nick can't finish the corner. Matt keeps P4.
And you see up front, you see Yari again cutting it down to the bottom there. This time, Charles decided not to chase the draft, and now look at Nick right there. He got pretty much double dose of dirty air there. Had to really back it down. And that's the thing, is the further back you go, the more chance of dirty air you have. So he's going to have to really bounce around to figure out where to position that car. As you see, again, he enters low, but then Matt makes that sharp left. But actually, Nick holds that yellow, or the white line, I should say, very, very well there. And what you said about Yari, he is doing exactly what you said. He's actually able to kind of set sail right now. Has been able to kind of grow that half-second lead up to about 7/10 or so. Last time by, he was about a 1/10.5 quicker than Charles Teed. And I say we'll look out the back here, watching that number 49 machine. And we'll watch again out of turn 2, out of turn 4. He is going to snake that thing to the bottom, break that draft off of the 50.
Yeah, I'm watching the battle at the back here. Eric Peterson's kind of found himself in a nice little mess here, trying to battle with guys at the bottom part of the top 10 and try and preserve his one lap down, ready for the next caution. Hopefully, getting himself there. It looks like Bill Colley has just hit the wall in turn 3.
Yeah, I'll say, let's see if he can limp it to pit road. He's pointing the right direction. He's going to probably take a toe here, it looks like, yeah. However, there's no cars around him, so we should stay green, which we do. But yeah, unfortunately, like he said, he was just a little too hot there getting into the turn. I think should still have a fast repair, but I think he went ahead and took a toe to avoid that risk of a potential yellow. But yeah, you're not wrong there right now. I'm watching these two right here. Again, not for position, but again, like I said, Eric Peterson doesn't want to lose a lot of track position, so it's kind of that risk versus reward of how hard do you want to run and put yourself at jeopardy of kind of being that yellow that you don't want to see.
Yeah, we have Salvador Duran, new driver to the series. He's being put to school from veteran Eric Peterson from a lap down. So this will give him a lot of stuff to put into the repertoire to take going forward in this season. So he tried to stick it out and go on the old tires before, and he tanked through the field. Now it's time to go to school a little bit and watch how these drivers do it.
Yeah, right now, Yari Brubacher, that lead has shrunk. Now it's down to 0.3 of a second. Charles Teed's picked up the pace half a second quicker that last lap. Teed has got those tires where he is happy, and he is on a mission right now. You can see just ever closer now as he enters turn 3.
I was mentioning that weight jacker roll bar difference before. Sometimes drivers can find the right formula instantly. Sometimes it takes a little bit. It looks like Charles Teed, I could see from this entire race unfolding that he is on it. He is the best driver in the field right now to try and figure out exactly what tools to use to try and make some headway on the car ahead, whether it be one car, two cars. He's figured something out here, so it would be great to see him try and take the fight here and take the lead and take control of this race.
Yeah, again, and he's also got if we go green, he's also got the fuel advantage as well, where he's going to have a shorter pit stop than Yari, with the fact that he's got over 20 laps more fuel on board that number 50 machine. So, yeah, there's a lot to go. And the other thing I'm watching is this field has definitely stayed a lot closer to each other than in previous times. I think, again, the pace, just everybody's ramping it up a little bit. Right now, really up front, the biggest gap is, surprisingly, from Nick DeGroot to Matt Wagner, just about a second. Everywhere else is about 6-7 of a second. So, yeah, right now, like I said, business definitely picking up for these guys. Craig is trying to kind of hold off Matt Wagner. Matt's starting to creep back up on him as well. But looking at lap times, right now, actually, the only car in the 27-second bracket was Nick DeGroot, who I just mentioned. So maybe same thing, maybe saving a little bit of tire. Now going to try to make a big charge later on.
You have to try and save tire, and you also have to try and play around with your tools, too, to see what can I do at the end of this race. Should it come down to a 4 or 5 lap shootout right at the end? So it's so tough.
Oh, caution out. And something, I think turn 3 bit him again here. I think possibly Salvador Duran another time around. This again, the car looks clean. I wonder if that thing just looped around on him. Let's go back. We'll take a look here. We're going to drop back to the 82. See if it's already starting to loop around or not. And
watching that white line.
Yeah, that's what. Just a big bobble. Had to catch it.
And let's see if he hits something here. If he could save this for a second time,
2
that's
for
pretty
2,
remarkable.
as I say. But look at the wheel, fully cranked right. Locks it down perfectly. I think he's gonna.
He saved it. Yeah.
I say this is where you just about here. You want to release the wheel, let it cut back. Yep. Perfect job there. Again, you don't want to spin out, but if you're going to spin, do it as best as you can. And that was picture perfect by him. And the happiest person about that, right here, Eric Peterson. This should put him back on the lead lap, back in the running for this one.
I would say the happiest person is Yari Brubacher because I think everybody's pitting right here to try and make it to the end.
Someone's
Uh,
gonna stay out. Someone's gonna
I,
pull the fuel mileage.
you stole the words right out of my mouth, Gael. Someone's going to try and play some sort of game here to get some sort of track position because that's what this race has been all about. So let's watch and see what happens.
So far, oh man, Matt cut it in close. No takers. We're both proven. I thought for sure somebody was going to do it, but that tells me that there was no way anybody was going to be able to pull it off. And there goes Eric Peterson. He's going to get back on the lead lap. Now the strategy to me, though, is do you take tires or do you maybe just throw fuel in it and try to get the shortest pit stop you can do?
You want tires, and I think Charles T might beat Yari out here because he has to take less fuel than him. Let's watch.
Oh, there's the fuel only. Craig Forsyth as well as Nick DeGroot fuel only. Yari Brubacher is going to win the race of the tires. So I knew I had it. Well, I shouldn't say I knew. I had a feeling someone was going to try the fuel mileage, or sorry, the fuel only stop is what I was looking for there. Craig Forsyth, Nick DeGroot, they both went for it. I like the strategy because I've seen Nick do it before and it's worked really well for him. We've talked about how important track position is here. I think this was a good gamble there because, again, well, I'm trying to think when they last pitted. It was around 40, 42 or so, right? So it's another about 20 lap run or so. So it seems like, yeah, 20 laps is about when these tires are really starting to maybe get that right rear angry. So can tell you Eric Peterson, he's caught back up to the field. I suspect we'll see him on pit road this time around. 82 Salvador Duran back out on track as well. And so yeah, so say we got it here again. I'm going to try one more time. I say I don't think my replay stuff or my caution stuff is working very well, so I'm going to fix that for next week. But we'll be right back in just a moment.
.40 Racewear, makers of the ultimate sim racing shoes and custom apparel designed for sim racing by sim racers. .40 racing shoes are engineered to connect racers to the pedals in a way no other racing shoe can, all the while giving you the comfort needed to complete those double and triple stints. Visit 40racewear.com and check out the latest sim racing products that let you connect to your sim.
All right, so we are back. Just about to get to the 1 to go here. Going to restart this thing with just under 40 to go. So again, for those that may have just missed it, Craig Forsyth, Nick DeGroot, fuel only out of the 99.89. Yari Brubacher on back went ahead and took 4 tires and fuel. At this point, fuel mileage out of the question. These guys can run full rich to the end. Again, the main thing for these guys is they want to try to have as much fuel to the end, but not a drop extra to keep these cars as light as possible. But Andrew, I've seen Nick pull this strategy with the fuel only. Someone jumped him on this time around with the 99 of Craig Forsyth. What are we thinking here?
Yeah, you want to take 2 tires, no tires, any sort of tires that's less than 4, and not be the leader. It's hard to say. Yeah, Craig's gonna, if he has a good start, he's gonna pull away, and Nick's gonna be in trouble trying to keep up with him. And the people with 4 tires behind are probably gonna swallow him up very easily. So that's how these things go. If you want to try and have some worn tires to get an advantage and jump a few spots, it's at your own peril. So it'll be very interesting to see how Nick handles this restart. Let's keep an eye on him for sure. The other question I'm wondering is, how did Yari get out ahead of Charles T when he had to take more fuel than him? That's another question we'll have to look into a little bit more, but we're about to go green here.
Yep, we're back down and away. Great start by Craig, and again, the snake begins once more here, and the snake has gone all the way down back the front stretch as Yari's going to dive underneath Nick right away, entering turn number 1. We'll see if he can make it stick or not, and looks like yes.
If Yari clears Nick, Nick is in big trouble going forward. He is not going to be able to hang out with old tires with these guys with new tires behind.
Yeah, I think Yari's trying to put these new tires to work as fast as he can, because we saw what happened a little bit ago there. And again, the one that I think we also got to watch is Charles Teed. He's, like I said, he's been the one that's been able to make some passes, but now he's going to have to try to get around, even though with older tires, a very difficult Nick to group. But look at Matt Wagner.
Whoa!
Oh, that car got really tight here. It's going to open the door for Eric.
Yeah, it didn't look like Matt entered the corner properly. Charles gets a little high in 3 and 4, saves Nick a little longer, but you can imagine that Charles, Eric, and Matt are all going to go after Nick ASAP. They know he has old tires. It's time to put him in the back.
Look at Craig here. He was actually taking a much wider entry. Nick, a very wide exit. Looks like he's going to be okay. But look at Yari. He is all over Craig Forsyth here.
That's a great run by Yari. He has managed to find the perfect line to try and dupe the guy with the older tires. I think before long you're going to see a move for the lead here.
Yeah, so he's going to have a good run here. He's going to decide, does he go high, he go low? He's going to go high. Now, if he can get that cut down like we've seen Charles Teed do before, I think he should be able to have the lead here entering 3.
I think Nick is just struggling to find any clean air he possibly can because he's on old tires and he doesn't know what the cars ahead of him are going to do at all to try and give him any sort of clean air here. So this is the perfect time for Charles Teed to try and make a move if he possibly can, but he just seems to be kind of hanging out right behind the top 3 here when he really should be trying to make moves like Yari is.
Yeah, this is a great job by Yari. Craig is fighting for all he is worth as well, though. You see Nick found finally a little bit of clean air. He's actually tightened up a little bit. Craig's going to go defense straight to the white line there. Yari's going to have to go back to the top. Here comes Charles Teed. Big run on Nick DeGroot entering 3. But now he's got to be careful for that dirty air up front, though. These guys, oh my goodness, door to door
Yari's
here.
Got it, yes. So, I mean, both Craig and Yari did everything 100% perfectly for their respective scenarios. Craig just blocked the inside as best he could. He tried to take the nice middle line there as best he could, and it's so hard to hold off these guys on new tires, but the track position is king, and Craig was able to hold on to it for about like 5 or 6 laps there before Yari made the move. But Craig's going to fall back a little bit, but Nick is in deep trouble now with drivers that are ahead of him on fresher tires.
Yeah, he's all right there. Charles Teed is trying to follow one draft. Actually, you see there, gets a little tight there in the dirty air. That's going to put him in the path of Nick. Nick got a little bit tight. Eric Schaus now trying to get onto that mix as well. But yeah, now Charles knows he's got to try to get to Craig as soon as he can, try to dispatch of him as soon as he can. And look at how well that number 50 is rotating through the turn. Will not quite clear won't quite clear Craig to then try to put the attack on Yari, but I think he should be able to complete the pass here through 1 and 2. Just depends on where the 49 car is.
Gotta watch out for that car with the dirty air up ahead, but looks like Charles has navigated it quite well. Craig has nothing to answer for here on the older tires, so just tuck it in nicely into turn 3, Mr. Teed, and you should have the spot easily.
Yeah, he's trying to get it powered down, and the thing is too for Yari, obviously we can't see it right here, but I think Yari's trying to work both lanes to keep these guys side by side for as long as he can. And yeah, once again, he's in that dirty air. Now he can clear the 99, and so he's going to be able to get his sights set now back on Yari. And there he goes. He's going to have to follow that draft here because he's also got to steal that draft to break away from Craig. Because if Craig takes the draft and he doesn't look at Craig, though, dives it into 3, I think Craig might be able to grab the spot back.
Yeah, we haven't paid much attention to poor Eric Peterson in the back, who had to start all the way from the back, but he's working into the bottom part of the top 10 as well. So let's make sure we notice him, and he's going on the outside of Dan Marrero right now. He's been making some moves back here. He's been kind of twisting and turning his way through the bottom part of the top 10 here. So I think Eric Peterson might be able to pick up a couple spots before this is all said and done as well.
So these two, I feel like we've got that battle between Richard Sanchez and Eric Schaus. With these two now, they just cannot separate from each other. And I say, now look at that, though. Look at Eric here. He got a huge entry into 1 there. He's going to clear the 50. And now Eric actually able to jump around that number 50 car to try to now go after Craig in the 99. Seems like I think maybe Charles got those tires a little bit too hot, but I think Craig has just found a really good line there running that middle through 3 and 4, getting great exits off.
Yeah, with Yari so far in the distance now, Craig has free reign to take whatever line he wants, which is bad news for the Eric, Charles, Matt scenario here. But it looks like Charles is good in dirty air, but once he gets in clean air, he really can't decide what line he wants to take. It's almost like he's racing as if there's a car ahead of him. And when you have free reign to take what line you want to try and take the best advantage. So Eric has managed to do both of them, and now he finds himself in P2.
And look at this. Here comes the 89. Here comes the 6. We've got a gaggle of cars here in the top 5. And I say every lap it's changing. We saw there Eric Schaus was able to finally get around Craig, and he's been able to set sail. That's exactly what Teed was hoping for. But now he's got his mirrors full of Nick de Groot there in the 89 Matt Wagner, not too far back. And then right now, I mean, we've still got the top 11 within about 5 seconds of each other. So, man, these guys are putting it really close here as we're down to 25 to go.
I was going to say the top are from P2 to P7, 8 or so are within like a blanket. You could throw them above it. So Eric Peterson is not far behind. So going from 2 laps down to potentially a top 5, if he could really make something work here, should these cars continue to go side by side, is not out of the question for Eric Peterson.
No, it's really not. And also, Yari's about to catch some traffic here with that 82 car. So he had an unscheduled pit stop, so he's got it. I said that's going to give Yari a little bit of dirty air, potentially, depending on where that 82 runs. So, but right now, though, Yari's done an amazing job. He's been able to stretch it out to about 2 seconds over Eric Schaus. We saw how hard he fought to get around Craig, and then he was able to set sail. So, really, really good job by Yari to do that. And then right here, you can see again, here goes Teed and Craig. Now looks like I think Craig's tires have finally given up the ghost. Actually, look like Craig got some really bad dirty air there also off of Eric Schaus, and that's opened the door for Nick de Groot, Matt Wagner. Matt's going to send it 3 wide here, entering turn 1. If he can clear, he's going to get a 2 for 1 here, and that's about the best you could hope for there for that 6 car.
Yeah, Nick de Groot touched the wall a tiny bit in turn 2 on the last lap, which doesn't seem to have hurt his car too much, but Matt has now put the 2 cars that decided to stay out on the old tires.
Look at Teed. He just got around Eric Schaus as well. Lap time-wise, he was over a 10th quicker than Yari. Yari still trapped behind that 82 car. Hasn't been able to get around him as of yet. I think now he should be able to. But you can see right now the 82 is going to hold the bottom, let him take the top side. Which to me right now as well, Andrew, it seems like to me the top side is actually the preferred line. But whatever it was, something's now clicked for that 50 car. It seems like maybe once the tires came in, because Teed is on a mission right now. And again, just over a 10th and a half quicker.
I was just watching Casey Pahutsky try and take a 3 wide with de Groot and Forsyth in turn 1 last lap. It was scary for a moment, but looks like Casey decided to just back out of it. Looks like Nick and Craig are just going to continue to battle for scraps here as best they can. But if this is also, as I mentioned with Salvador before, this is good for Casey. Go to school and watch these guys, the top of the league, do what they do, find their lines, try and watch exactly what they're doing to see how you can play a factor here on fresher tires. So this is good stuff for guys like Casey Pahutsky, who's new to the series.
Yeah, no, this is, like I said, this is really good. And you mentioned, too, it getting a little scary and him rolling out of it. That's, I think, one of the things. Oh, big loose for Craig. You saw that out of forward. That car all but went around there. He caught it very nicely, but that lets Casey grab that spot nice and easily. Again, over a 10th quicker actually 2 tenths quicker for Teed over Brewpocker's, down to about 1.6 seconds. Still got plenty of time. He has not quite gotten around Salvador yet. So he's going to have to try to work that car by, again, so right now he's going to have a little bit of both things. He's going to have a little bit of dirty air in the turns, but also a little bit of draft down the straight. So that said, though, we've seen Teed really be able to work this outer line here and do that late apex right there. And, I mean, that's about done to his perfection as I feel like you can do. And now gets a huge run here down the back, and this might also be helping that gain on Yari.
I think Teed has found some way to measure cars ahead of him better than anybody else in this field tonight, to try and figure out how he can get the best advantage, to try and figure out how do I get my time back. But he needs to find a way to translate that into, okay, I'm here now. How do I get the pass done? And I don't think he's figured that part of it out yet, because obviously we saw him lose that spot to Eric Schaus before. He got it back, but in the heat of the battle, when you want to try and get to the front, you have to try and figure out both sides of it. How do I race in dirty air? How do I race in clean air to get the best advantage possible?
Yeah, I think honestly for Teed, I think it's just been he hasn't had the time to be able to do it. But I'm going to jump back up here now. Matt Wagner, he's gone up to Eric Schaus now, going for that third spot, because we know Matt loves to have interviews with us, so he's going to do everything he can to be able to have a chat with us post race. But I was mentioning though, Eric Peterson, he is now working over Craig Force. I think he said he's not too far out from a top 5, depending on how things continue on. So great run for Eric. And Charles Teed, Yari Brubacher, it's down to about a second now.
Dan Marrera has gone to school after Eric Peterson.
I think Eric Schaus had a moment, but kept it straight.
We're gonna take a look at that.
Yeah, we're gonna go back and take another look here. I think we're a little too far back, so we'll run it through here through 3 and 4. And I think we're gonna see that turn 3 almost catch Eric out once more. Oh, just caught the apron there. You saw it.
Just a little bit dirty at the wrong time.
What a catch there, though. So
that was a great save. It looks like, back to Craig Forsyth just falling through the field immensely right now. And I was mentioning Dan Marrera is paying attention to everything Eric Peterson is doing, because as soon as he got by Dan's been just running kind of Charles Teed lines almost a little bit. So Craig lets him go. Eric Schaus has now fallen to, what is this, P7, I believe.
Yeah.
So Eric Peterson is close to the top 5, as we were mentioning before.
Yeah, up to 6th after being 2 laps down. And up front, though, Teed's there, half a second distance between the two of them.
Yeah, Teed can get there, but let's see if he can make the move. That's the big question is, can Teed find a way to get by and clear him, which he hasn't been able to do before. But looks like we have Casey Puhutsky in the top 5 now on his debut, which is very nice for him. Obviously, watching the Schaus and Forsyth, De Groot and Forsyth battle there has helped him quite a bit. So we're coming down to 15 to go.
It looks like actually Schaus got back by Peterson too,
which is fine for the Peterson sake. He's tried to climb his way back, and it looks like it's not over yet.
And so what I've been noticing is I think Teed is by far the faster car through turns 1 and 2. I think Yari's able to do a good job playing defense through 3 and 4. You can see again, to me, the difference for Teed has been that entry to turn 1. He just does that really late apex. You can see here he comes. He is all over him.
Yari almost hit the wall in turn 2 there. Look like we were watching there. He got a little loose and allowed Teed to kind of catch up a little bit on his momentum. So let's see if he goes faster in 1 and 2 here.
I almost went at one point.
Such a wide line.
But look how much he can cut it back down. Look at the gain he has there. Yari had all the cleaner in the world, and there's nothing Yari can do. Teed's going to have a look here entering 3.
Got to tuck it in nicely to the white line. Looks like Teed kind of straddles it, and he has the position. Nice move, Charles Teed.
And now he's going to have to try to play defense, because now Yari's going to get all the draft that Teed was able to take advantage of. Right now, I do see the 82 car off track here out of turn 2. Looks like he's trying to get that thing rolling again. So far, we do stay green, and you can see the smoke coming off that car. I think now he's rolling once more, and yeah, it looks like he's good to go. So we still stay green, and I was saying that could have been a difference maker in this race too, because again, there are no green-white checkers. Right now, we're still in the point where we would still get a restart for sure, but now that we do have a lap or more done, that adds a lap to the yellow. So once we get to about 3-4 to go, it's kind of a question mark if at that point if the race will continue on or not. I can tell you the 82 is on pit road, but last time by, while these two are fighting, Matt is closing that gap 0.3 of a second quicker than Charles last time by.
This is such a fun battle to watch, Gael. Looks like Charles got by Yari, and then he got to turn 1 and said, "Oh no, where do I turn in? I'm so used to turning in so high. I don't want Yari to go low." So he kind of chose a middle line, which was not very good. But now that he's pulled a little bit of a gap on Yari, I think he's kind of gone back to his normal line and everything like that. So I think Yari is not doing turn 3 and 4 so well. He's kind of entering a little bit high, and he's kind of having to chase the car up the track where he really wants to be kind of down towards the white line more and try and get the advantage. And yeah, you can see Charles Teed is now pulling away quite quickly. I think he was 6/10 ahead that lap, 7/10.
Yeah, last time by, yes, 27.95 to 28.41. Matt, though, mirrored the lap time of Charles Teed. So right now, Matt's, like I said, he's got his motor cranked right now, too. He is trying to get up to them. Again, though, he's now got the dirty air of Yari
Very
and
close
Charles.
to turn 4 again, so I think Matt's going to have a run here.
Yeah, I think Yari's, I think his tires are starting to struggle, like you said. And right now, Teed's loving this because he just wants another couple laps to click by and then let these two fight each other as much as they can. But right now, like I said, I think Yari's got all he can do. Matt's going to send it here into turn number 3. He will clear without any trouble. But with all that battling, Teed's up to about 1.5 seconds ahead and actually growing here, 1.6 there at the line. So Teed's just got to play it careful here these last couple laps. He's got no traffic in front of him. This is where now he's just saying, all right, everybody play nice here. I don't want anything weird happening. I do not want a late race restart.
Yeah, at this point we're safe from the restart, but yeah, it looks like Yari got a little frazzled there. Like, this is such a super speedway vibe. You go off a little bit in one corner and you have to lift, and suddenly he almost hits the wall again in turn 4 there, Yari. So you lose your momentum, and then suddenly you find yourself in a spot where you're defending instantly, where you're on the offense a lot of the time, and then suddenly you're on the defense, and it's very hard to manage both sides of the coin. So I understand now how Charles T was trying to manage his race in the dirty air, and then gets into clean air and can't really quite figure out how to make the pass.
Yeah, this thing's not over yet. We still got 2 to go here at the line. Matt was 0.4 of a second quicker that last time by. This time only 1/10, but he's within the draft window. Oh, Eric Schaus, I think another spin. Oh, caution out. That is going to do it. Eric, unfortunately, this time cannot keep that thing off the wall. You can see the front nose missing on that thing. Caution is out. That's going to finish this one under yellow, though, for us, unfortunately. But let's go ahead and see what happened to Eric here. I mean, he was having quite the battle with Eric Peterson. And I'm going to go out on a limb and say, actually, he was a fair bit ahead of Eric Peterson. But that car, once again, just it looked like, I mean, I feel like it's clockwork here, though, Andrew. Every 20 or so laps, it seems like the out of 4, that was really the trouble turn. It was just trying to get that throttle down.
I can't stress enough how tough 3 and 4 is at the track. Like, you have to run the exact same line over and over and over again, and you have to try and find the most optimal line that you can. It's so hard to figure out your best line, and you try and throw a little bit more weight jacker into it to try and get the car to rotate, and next thing you know, your car is going around. You saw the cars got very tight through turn 2 going up to the wall, and you got the cars that are getting very loose if they were just a little bit off their line in 3 and 4, which is why I was so worried about how Yari was exiting 4 those few laps there, almost touching the wall, and that could have ruined everything. So that just showcases all these replays you showed in turn 4. It really shows how on edge these cars are.
Yeah, but come out of 4 here, you see the checker flag being waved under yellow. But Charles Teed's not going to care either way because he's going to get the win here tonight at Twin Ring Motegi over Matt Wagner, Yari Brupacher, and Nick DeGroot's going to bring it home in 4th. And then top 5 on his debut here, Casey Putsky. Great job by him bringing home 5th. Eric Peterson 1 spot away from trying to get that top 5 after being 2 laps down. But let's say we're going to have a very, very happy driver in that number 50 machine.
What a great race. It's such a grueling situation when it's the complete opposite of the pack race that we usually see. It's the opposite. It's trying to find like little bits and pieces of clean air here and there, and Charles T did it better than anyone. So I'm very happy to see that he took the win tonight.
Yeah, say one of our viewers, he called at the beginning. He said, Matt might as well park it. Teed's going to win this thing, and they finished 1-2. Teed got the win. So I say go pick up a lottery ticket on your, I say later on tonight if they're still open, Muff, because great call there as we were going to watch Teed here celebrate on the front stretch.
Well deserved. It definitely seemed like the weather changed as well. It seemed like it was kind of overcast at the start, which I thought might have led to some more passing, some more close racing, but afterwards it got a little sunny out and then back to cloudy again. So These drivers had a little bit of everything today. A little bit difficulty to start the season, which may prove to be a little bit better for them as we continue to go on with these next few races.
Yeah, it's going to be fun to see how it all shakes out. Teeds finished up his celebrations. We got to chat with some drivers. We're going to try to hunt down Mr. Jari Brewpacher, see if we can have a chat with him to kick things off. We got to hunt some drivers down. There's Jari. He's already here and ready to roll. So let's go ahead and pull up that number 49 car. All right, Andrew, we are bringing in Jari Brewpacher, finishing third here tonight. Jari, it seemed like tonight was a bit of a track position race. We saw earlier, I think it was Nick de Groot staying out for track position after about maybe a 20 lap run. 20 laps later, we see you pull the same strategy, and it looked like Clean Air was pretty equal to having maybe 20 lap fresher tires. But was there anything that you missed there at the end? Because I mean, you were very quick, and then you're able to sneak away from some of those other guys, and then Teed and Wagner were able to catch you back there. Was there anything just you felt like you needed there at the end to make a difference?
Yeah, I think the clean air was very important here today. I think I just overdid it with how much I raised the tires. In the end, it was so loose. I almost lost it like every time I went into turn 3 and 4. So I didn't fight them that hard in the end because I knew the chances are high that I would go into the wall. So yeah, but in the end, I mean, good race. Third position, especially on this track that I'm not really good at usually. So I'll definitely take that result, even though I guess it looked like I could have won it at some point. But yeah.
I had a question for you, Jari, and you stole it right out of my mouth there. So
I'm sorry.
I'm going to ask it anyway. So you found yourself just going off of your line of talking there that you didn't find that you were very good at this track. So I was going to ask if you found yourself mired in the middle part of the top 10. You purposely decided I'm going to stay out because I want the track position to see what it feels like out front, to see if perhaps I can get lucky with some sort of track position situation, a yellow or something like that. So it was a predetermined decision for you to try and stay out, to try and see if you can pick up any sort of spots that you needed to be out ahead of where you were prior to the caution.
Well, actually, I said to myself, if nobody stays out in front of me, I'm staying out, and if somebody stays out, I'm coming in, and nobody stayed out, so I went there, and as I said, the tires got quite hot, and it got very slippery later into the run. So I was a bit gambling on another caution falling, and it happened. And at that point, basically everyone, I think even really everyone, came in and took new tires, and yeah, that definitely helped me gain some spots there.
It seemed like that was one of those situations that we here in the booth thought everybody was coming in because it was one stop to the end. But there's always going to be that one contrarian that says, I'm going to stay out there because I want the track position and I'm just going to hope it falls my way, because if I just pit with everybody, I'll be stuck in 6th place for the rest
Yeah,
of the race.
exactly. That's what I thought. Like it was difficult making spots up. It got easier when tires went away and there were big differences. But yeah, I knew I needed the clean air and the track position, and yeah, sometimes you have to gamble.
Well, I think the gamble definitely paid off. Jari, I said you did an awesome job, and like you said, you were definitely not the only driver getting loose tonight. I say we definitely saw a turn, like I said, turns 3 and 4 especially the exit of 4 was definitely a trouble spot for drivers with the throttle. But a great, like I said, maybe not your best track, but able to get a podium tonight. A great way to start off the season. So I definitely want to give you the floor for any thanks and shout outs tonight.
Yeah, once again, thanks to the league, thanks to you guys broadcasting, thanks to everybody watching, and the drivers that race here.
Great job tonight, Jari. Go enjoy this one and look forward to chatting with you soon.
Thank you.
Carry
Bye,
on.
guys. Thank you.
All right. We got to jump over one car in front. And I feel like this is going to be a mixed bag on emotions. Got the pole, get a runner up here tonight, but I'm guessing you wanted to see that thing play out to the end map because you were a couple times taking some really big chunks out of Teed, and then but every lap you were gaining at least a tenth or so. I mean, take us through those last couple laps and just through the race too, because there was a lot going on tonight.
Yeah, so the setup was quite interesting. What I set up myself. So after I think about 10, 15 laps, the car started getting a little bit loose, just a little tad, a little bit of more cross weight. So we everybody started figuring it out toward the end, and then I guess I kind of figured it out a little bit more later, and I started messing with my bars and quickly I hit it, and then the last 20 laps, I felt like I had like the fastest car on the track. Like I ran down T, what was it, like 5 seconds or something? And it was quite interesting. I wish I had more laps, but that was quite fun. Could I have done anything different? Not really. Probably with adjustment a little bit earlier, I would have made that adjustment a little bit earlier. Cool. Could have but got a little bit more better of an outcome, but he told me in the chat he was riding, I think about 85 90%. He didn't want to spin the car, but the last 3 laps of the race. So I don't know if I wanted to believe him or not, but man, that was tiring, stressful, and fun actually.
So this is one of those tracks where you have two different sides of the racetrack. You have 1 and 2 that's a little more flat and progressively banked, and you have 3 and 4 that's just kind of throw the car in there and hope for the best. So can you tell the viewers what it's like to adjust from one side to the other 100 times? What's it like to try and find some sort of clean air where you were trying to follow someone a previous lap and now you have to go, oh no, they're turning down early. I have to adjust on 1 and 2 and try and set them up for the turn 3 and 4 on the other side of the track. How different do you have to change the car in order to do that?
So 1 and 2 is it's quite different. I love to run a very wide arc into 1 and 2. I had trouble doing that because a lot of people were doing the same thing I was doing. So it kind of forced me to find clean air and run a little bit lower than those guys were. But then again, when I would catch up into their line, and it forced me to push off, and that would hurt off the corner. 3 and 4 is you really want to get close to that white line as possible because it would really help the car rotate through that center of that corner quite well. If you go up the track just a little bit more here at Twin Ring, it's kind of like as you would say, it really don't turn as much. You really got to get to that white line.
It's a prey situation to try and get through 3 and 4, but we saw
Yep.
several drivers tonight that keep that high line and somehow maintain position. We saw Schaus do it quite a bunch of times. We saw Forsyth do it quite a bunch of times when he was hanging on for dear life. So it's maintaining that position, but it's not sustainable for more than 3 or 4 laps or so.
Yeah, I was watching these guys were like on old tires. It was like, oh my God, those guys were really risking it. When I think they were on what 12 lap old tires. Am I correct? I could be wrong.
Roughly, yes.
Roughly around there, because it made a hell of a difference. They dropped back like a rock, and luckily these tires held up. And man, P2, it kind of sucks. I've been trying to get a win here for like the longest time. I really love this racetrack, and not many people like it. Some people kind of like avoid it, as you would say. We talked pre-race. This is one of my. I love the technical tracks. I love like these technical ovals, like like Darlington. But we don't race. Of course, we don't race Darlington on IndyCar, do we? We tried one in the fixed series, but that was death.
I'm trying to remember our Lionheart experience. Was that the race you had a VR failure and you went flying across the turn 2?
Don't bring that up.
He doesn't like those 2 letters anymore.
I'm actually trying to remember.
Don't.
Sorry.
I was I remember that. I was running P2 behind Matt, and all of a sudden VR failure. Oh God.
So was this track? I couldn't
yeah.
remember. There was one track I remember you had a VR failure, but I guess it was.
This was it. I was running second to Matt. Yep.
Well, awesome job though tonight, Matt. Like I said, he did a really good job as you were able to make those magic adjustments, and I mean, it definitely showed your car was lighting up there at the end, and it was really exciting to watch you work your way through there. So, great way to kick off the season. Definitely wanted to give you the floor for any thanks and shout outs for that runner up tonight.
All right. I'd like to thank you guys in the broadcast. Thank you for all the drivers that showed up here tonight. Some of these guys actually really liked the loose setup. I could go that direction. It's pretty much how far do I really want to take it. I could set the car up really loose. So I'm really glad they enjoyed that. TWR guys, James Watson, all them. Love you guys. I can't wait for the Daredevil series coming up. Looking forward to running that. And yeah, it's been fun, guys. I appreciate y'all's time. Thank you very much.
All right, that is our runner up tonight with Matt Wagner. And we're going to go back just a tiny little bit because we're going to pull up our race winner there, his car. And Andrew, I don't know if you know this, but usually after race wins, there's a certain undergarment that winds up not being changed for a while. So
oh dear,
we're going to pour one out for
boy.
Teed's family because they have to live with them.
Yeah, we're gonna go pick up some bleach tonight. I think we're gonna have to.
But
This
man,
could be a long week.
I don't want to know anymore.
But Teed, I mean, Andrew and I caught it early. You were one of the few cars that could make moves in dirty air, and it seemed like, to me, it felt like you were getting there, and then just when it was time for you to pounce, caution would come out, you wouldn't get the chance to do it, and then you have to kind of regroup, do it again. You lose a spot or two from people staying out, but you stayed with it, you stayed persistent, and then finally, when it came down to crunch time, you were able to jump Yari, and then after a couple laps, then break away from him and just kind of set sail. But like, to me, 1 and 2, I mean, it was obvious you were good in 3, 4, 2, but 1 and 2, I feel like you had everybody covered. That late apex, you were able to kind of not stick in the draft and then kind of cut through the dirty air on your late apex. And I mean, it looked like you had it down to a T. And to me, that seemed like that was the magic for it.
It was. I think there was two things. It was definitely that, and I shared it with. I was in a Discord channel with both Erics, and I told them to do that, and they both said, "Hey, I don't like passing or running the high side into one. I can't do it." Finally, they did that. Oh, that's how you do it. So I think they got there near the end. The other thing was I ran tremendous weight jacker after like 5 or 6 laps because the car got unbelievably loose. And it's the way I like to drive a car, so I could just mash on exit and know that it was not going to come around. It was tough because you hit it kind of on the head. Every time I would run through 3 or 4 hard guys to pass. You guys both know that there's that group. There's 4 or 5 guys and they're really good that I am not even close to their caliber. But I had the better setup tonight to go run with them, and I just kept having to go through them. And I actually wanted another caution because I was concerned how my tires were going to be at the end of 40 laps. But I just went to negative 20 jacker, finally got around Schaus again, and I looked up and I'm 2.3 behind Yari. I'm like, doggone it, I don't know if I can close this. And it just started clipping 0.2 a lap on him because I think he was so loose on exit. So yeah, I think it was those two things. And everyone raced really clean. When someone had a run on you, no one was like blocking. There wasn't crazy dive bombs into 3 that you all see at this track. So it was a lot of fun.
So Gael stole my question. He's been listening to me for too long and knows how to ask the right questions. So I'll have to come up with another one. Actually, I do have one. We saw you taking those wide lines into turn 1 and 2. We saw quite a few cars that were really pushing up on the exit to the turn 2 wall there. Were you concerned at all with touching the turn 2 wall in 1 and 2? Because it seemed like 3 and 4 was the problem corner for everyone. It's just it's like a spray and pray situation. Get in there and hope that you touch the white line on the bottom. But we don't really talk much about turn 1 and 2, and you were the one taking the high line there. So Did you ever find yourself worried that you might push up a little bit too much if you catch the air wrong for the car ahead of you that's on the low side washing up the track?
Yeah, no, especially on restarts because I think everyone then feels like this is my chance. I got to make the moves. And Craig even said that he said, I don't think anyone made any passes after the first 5 laps. And I said, you might need to go jump back in my car and watch the replay because that's when I actually would start clicking as people would wash up when I was getting crazy runs. I will say this though, Yari did some pretty good mirror driving and in the one of the earlier stints. And that made it real tough because he was taking the air off of me. And I mean, you can run as high as you want into one, but at some point you have to turn. And he was turning really late. He was also doing a really good job of zigzagging on an earlier run. Finally, I just said, the hell with it. You zigzag all you want. I'm just, because it was messing up my turn ins. And once I just got back to I'm going to run my line and lose a little bit of toe, then that was not effective. It was really just me not being the caliber like all of you guys are as a driver.
How much weight jacket manipulation were you doing between 1 and 2 and 3 and 4?
So by the end of the last 15 laps, I was minus 20 the entire run. But I was starting off +6 and then going to 0 in 3 and 4. And then just slowly just got to minus 20. And then I was just adjusting the corner. I could go deeper and deeper into the corner because it was just a weird setup because the tires were not even that burned up. At the end of each 20 lap run, they were only at 97%, but it felt like they were at 40%. So yeah, it was very interesting. I think they were just really hot.
Yeah, I was thinking it might be a tire temp thing for sure. Just from because turn 4, their tires were getting angry for a number of drivers. We saw some big saves from some of the heavy hitters too. So no, I mean, like I said, it was top to bottom. You just did an awesome job all race long.
Thank you.
We kind of felt like I remember the Loudon race last season with Peterson, where it seemed like he had the combo that where he could make all the passes. It seemed like tonight you had that exact same thing. So yeah, you did an awesome job of just balancing everything and then being able to just put it all together. And like I said, stayed persistent and able to grab the win at the end. So definitely big congrats to you. I know these ones are harder and harder to come by because we just keep getting ridiculously good talent every season, it feels like. So definitely want to give you the floor for any thanks and shouts for that win tonight.
Yeah. Thank you both for doing great broadcasts. It's fun watching you, Wood, get out there and rip as well in some real top series. So appreciate having you both here and giving feedback on these races. Want to give a shout out to your pops, Gael. I wish he was out run with us. Hope he's doing okay with his health. Shout out to my dad who's battling some Parkinson's and that one's for my dad there tonight to go get that W. And obviously my teammates. I have so much fun. I think that's probably the thing during COVID that's made this really all come together because I didn't know anything about sim racing before COVID. Is just the friendships. Schaus and Peterson and I race 2 nights a week, and just the laughing, the shit talking, the barking at other drivers that they can't hear. Just so much fun, and just a great group overall. Just a great group in this league and in the Dark Horse League. So, thank you. A lot of fun. That's one of my prouder wins to go get against that group of drivers and having to pass them all, damn near all of them twice to go get that thing. So I'll take it.
No, at least a hell of a job, well deserved. So, go enjoy. Go talk some more smack to him here, and we look forward to seeing you again here soon, man.
Thanks, boys.
Thank you.
All right, Andrew, that is our race winner, Mr. Charles Teed. And I mean, he's not wrong. He had to work for it tonight, and it, like I said, I think he probably did. He probably had to pass all those guys a couple times tonight, but kept consistent and I think he's spot on too. It seems like to me the way those cars were snapping out of 4, it definitely felt like more of a tire temperature issue, and just again shows how good of a job he and others were doing to just kind of keep that right rear on top of it.
Yeah, it seemed like he had the best opportunity to fight the dirty air and get himself in a spot where he was able to pounce on Yari for the lead there. So great shout out to Charles there for taking the win and taking the fights of Yari out front and getting the advantage there.
Yeah, no, yeah, that's exactly right. So I say he strikes first, able to get the win. And yeah, so I'd say we're back at it. I'd say we not quite starting the super speedway season yet, but it is going to be coming soon. So basically, we'll have a couple days off, and in 1 week's time, we'll be back on track again. For those that maybe missed the schedule, we'll plop it back up right here. So next week we'll be at Chicagoland, 1.5 mile D-shaped oval, but very abrasive. So I think that's going to be another one. We'll have to watch the tire wear. And then, yeah, Atlanta's going to be a very similar type track to there as well. So I'll be very interested to see how those two race. And then back to Indy, like I said, I mean, obviously month of May right now for the real IndyCar series. So once that finishes up, then we'll get to our Indy race and then over to the road course at Interlagos in Milwaukee for the first half of the season. So it's going to be a lot of fun. I say, Andrew, always a pleasure to have you back in here with us. We're going to try to recruit a few more people, obviously, over the course of the season. And like you mentioned, definitely thinking about some of our drivers that we're missing here tonight in Brazil. Hope everybody's safe and doing well. Hope to see them back on track soon. So, yeah, Andrew, as always, man, appreciate you a ton. It's a lot of fun doing these with you, and looking forward to getting a few more under our belt here.
Yeah, we'll see how the season shapes out. We got some guys missing tonight, but they'll be back in full force for later on in the season. So I'm looking forward to commentating this with you going forward, and we'll see what happens.
All right, so that's going to do it for us tonight. We'll be back again in 1 week's time at Chicagoland. So until then, as always, take care, stay safe, and have a great evening. Good night, everybody.